An incredibly interesting picture is now starting to emerge, a legal precedent of sorts, as Prince Harry has officially filed a major new lawsuit against the Daily Mail newspaper. This is a war with the tabloids. He filed the lawsuit together with others as well. Elton John and 5 more people. Thus, in London, a trial has begun on the lawsuit filed by Prince Harry, Elton John, and 5 other people against the largest British tabloid, the Daily Mail newspaper. They all accuse this tabloid of illegally obtaining confidential information about them. So is that not allowed? But it's allowed about others. It's allowed about anyone from the public, but not about them. Not allowed. So what kind of information are they afraid of? Shouldn't Prince Harry be setting an example of how to be a pleasant, decent, law-abiding citizen of his country and lead by example? No, it turns out he doesn't have to. Well, and look at him. He won't even say a word. That's a whole different story, a different thing entirely. Everything is completely different. And here he is, John. I think many of you don't even know who he is anymore. Well, back in my day, he was famous, like a parrot. Sometimes he'd dress up as a parrot and come out on stage, or he'd do something else on stage. But people with non-traditional orientations, they always seem to have some kind of exotic stories in their lives, stories they're afraid someone might talk about. But if you live like that, then go become a monk and live that way. Monks hide their crimes after all. They could have hidden theirs too. The lawsuit states that from 1993 to 2011 and later, newspaper employees obtained information about the plaintiffs by hacking phones and wiretapping phone conversations, as well as by obtaining information through deceitful means. Well, what exactly are deceitful means of getting information? I don't even know. The intelligence services always know everything. They collect information, and perhaps the intelligence services were selling this information. Who's going to tell you that? What is wiretapping anyway? Intelligence services? Let them be the ones accused, not the Daily Mail. And the Daily Mail probably got it from the intelligence services. I don't know either, I'm just telling you what I think. Because who else could be doing the wiretapping? Only the intelligence services. That's how it is. Yeah, nobody dares to go up against the intelligence services, right? That's how it goes. By the way, about the train collision, what I mentioned today, at first they said 3939, that number, and then they said 40. People died, right? So first it was 39 and then 40. Now everywhere they're saying 40. How many people died in that Swiss club fire? 40. In Spain there was a train collision. People died. How many? 40. Got it? And why are the Japanese afraid of the number 4? For them, it's the number of death. What is 4? 13. 1 plus 3 is 4. 13. Right? There are a lot of these, well, you could say sacred signs nowadays. In the near future, you'll see and hear even more of them because this is the beginning of the year. A new era is starting, one of total destruction of nations all over the world. And now every country will be involved in this. In every country, you'll see very soon, literally in the near future, one after another, there will be things like plane crashes. Expect the next one. What else will we have? Trains, right? We have the sea. There will definitely be something with water too. All of this operates within the framework of a sacred sacrifice. It doesn't matter how many there actually are. What matters is that they announce it that way. Each participating country submits a report on what it has done. They present these numbers to show something to someone. Of course, they do it to each other, but it's like parrots, like roosters. They strut, they show off, trying to prove who among them is the bigger rooster. And it's not interesting. It's all just not interesting anymore. It's like they're just watching from the sidelines, observing, unable to do anything. But in Russia, or rather in Kharkiv, Ukraine, the number of people injured as a result of the air raid has now risen to 10. So that means 40 are still not participating, not taking part in this chess game. Friends, it feels like, it doesn't matter. Here they're just dragging things out. It's like they're pulling people's attention in different directions, right? And on the other hand, at the same time, Trump is still trying to take over Greenland. And people, first of all, they were being killed, right? The population there is Inuit, that's the ethnic group, the people who lived there, right? And what did they do? In the 1970s, women were completely sterilized. They couldn't reproduce. The women were sterilized. They all had these devices, some kind of coils inserted. They didn't even know about it. They just did population checkups, supposedly for the benefit of women's health. And what was the result? As a result, they ended up with these coils. That's why the women couldn't have children. They all practically became... Well, just imagine, if those generations didn't leave any descendants, the population started to be destroyed, to decrease, artificially. And now they're shouting, we're not for sale. The people of Greenland are talking about the US trying to buy the island, but they're not for sale. Well, who's going to ask them? And meanwhile, Trump is saying, pay attention to Russia and Ukraine, who are fighting, not to Greenland. But Greenland will be his anyway. And at the same time, as a result of the strike on Kharkiv, yes, and near Belgorod, another man was killed in a drone attack. So, the governor of Belgorod region reported the death of a man in the village of Otradnoye. Well, you see, of course, people here will always be talking about something. Of course, Russians will die. But when Ukrainians were dying, everyone stayed silent. Now Russians have started dying. Russians have started scratching their heads, thinking something's not right. Why are Russians dying, huh? In reality, friends, the whole world is dividing right now. And the fact that even in London now they're starting to shout, leave Greenland alone. Because what is Trump? His appetites. Greenland is much bigger than England. If he set his sights on Greenland, he wants to make it his personal island. Not American, but personal. He's going there like an emperor. So he could also take England for himself, right? And why not? He'll take the island of Greenland, become an emperor, and tomorrow he'll take all of England, bring it under his control. So whether you shout or not, they've already decided at their own level. The UN Secretary General, in an interview with the BBC, he said that the US believes their power is more important than international law. That's it. Apparently international law no longer applies because now it's power that matters. Antonio Guterres said that Washington is now clearly guided by the belief that multilateral relations and the search for joint solutions are not important and that results should be achieved through the use of force. Well, and then Trump will simply stop paying and Ivan will shut his mouth. January 19th, 2026. I am Tanya Karatsuba Sidburkan.